get into the Chris Lopez story, okay? Again, very heavy stuff. You know, we're really going to be talking about mental health struggles. We're going to be talking about people being in the depths of despair, potentially making irreversible decisions, okay? So once again, shout out to Teen Mom Chatter for this. She got a lot of screen recordings from Chris Lopez going live just before the weekend or over the weekend. And he is still extremely, I mean extremely livid, pissed at Kail Lowry. And he's especially pissed off because Kail has Elijah watching the kids that he has with her. Right. So this is something that Kail has been laughing about on like podcasts, including the Lala Kent podcast and everything, how all of the kids, like if she were to pass away, for example, Kail says one of her life goals is to pass away only at the age of like 65, which I think is crazy, especially considering the fact that Kail has very young children. So it would mean that when her children are only like 30 years old, and she's still talking about wanting to have more children. She's also talking about wanting to pass away at 65 years old, right? Very, very strange things, but I digress, right? So she says, oh, like, you know, when it happens, I would love, you know, or if it were to happen when my kids are still like minors, I would love for all of them to go live with their fathers, except for two. Those two would go and live with like my cousin. And that is obviously in reference to the children that she shares with Chris Lopez, right? And so Chris is really pissed about this, of course. And so he's, you know, emptying the clip on our girl. He's saying, listen, like she is trash. Like she still has her ex looking after our children. Her ex, like he was considering ending his own life. Like it was really bad, the stuff that he said. Okay. So take a look at some of these videos and then we're going to talk about it on the flip side. If you're watching me live, first of all, thank you so much for being here for the morning report. Keep leaving your comments in the live chat, okay? And I will pull them up on screen. And if you're part of the Playback Posse, we'll talk to you in the comment section, okay? Take a look at some of Chris's rant. It was long, y'all.
The biggest one that I left out? How would you feel when you come to find out you're being pushed to the outside and all these men can watch your kids, and you find out that the one person that's watching your children and had these allegations of putting his hands on your children wrote a suicide note? Wrote a suicide note. And you knew this person wrote a suicide note. And even knowing that this person wrote a suicide note, you still present to the court that y'all doing good and everything's fine. That is an unstable motherfucker. And you're putting all this... So imagine that. Imagine people that the people reminded when they remembered that they had it, they sent it to me. And I said that to him. I said, how do you think I know this stuff, bro? There's no way I should know about you writing a suicide note. So when you find out a person you're leaving your children in the care of a man who wrote a suicide note, potentially can off himself, for God knows who what. And I'm going to guarantee you, like, there's got to be some type of pattern of men using their mental health by dealing with these persons. He got it from Nat. Actually, you don't know your information. See, that's the problem. Crazy thing about Natalie is I just started speaking to Natalie recently, within the last year. When I found out she wasn't. Oh, here it is. This is the note right here. It says, dear kiddo, if you're reading this or your mom is reading this, the entire time they blew his phone up. So yes, and then I confronted him because I confronted him about putting his hands on my children. If someone came to you, right, and then I asked him and I talked to him, I was like, yo, bro, like, you saying you ain't putting your hands on my kids, so are you calling my child a liar? He said, no. I said, then what are we talking about? Yo, bro, where you been? You been okay? No, nigga, I ain't been okay. I'm good. I'm doing better now, bro. I'm doing better, but I was not doing good recently. I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro. It was getting to me. But, bro, stop fucking with them dirty ass girls, bro. They keep putting you on Facebook and shit, bro. Leave them hoes alone, bro. They keep putting you on Facebook and shit, bro. I would file a report. I did. When you got time to create an image, you can do that. Wait, how did you get the note? People sent it to me. because she was passing it around like a school note talking about him. That means your dad is no longer alive. It's as far as I'm going to read for y'all, because I'm not going to read that. It hurts my heart that someone even felt this low to write this. It says, love your dad. I love you, son. He was writing that to his unborn child at the time. Yes, the courts don't care because you have to file specific paperwork for these exact things. So rule to show cause, because she's not filing an order because she's supposed to inform you when she travels. That's the only violation. If you got a bunch of information of your kids probably being harassed or targeted or things like that, or your kids fail in school, it doesn't matter unless you file a custody modification and things like that. People like you are the problem, because you're absolutely right, and I hope he did get help. I would expect him to get love. But you're overlooking the part of the whole thing. How would you feel if you found out your kid? Like, imagine that. Imagine you was being pushed out from your kid's life. All right? Imagine that. You getting pushed out of your kid's life, and then you find out that the person you're getting pushed out and trying to force on your children is not even mentally stable. For real, for real. So let's just say hypothetically, and God forbid nothing happened, but when they're watching your children, and let's just say they had enough, life is kicking their ass, they're struggling as it is, and they had enough, and go bam, and then they see two little boys, and matter, because how many times have we heard of people saying they had enough in everybody's life that's in the house? So then, who would we have blame? Hypothetically, who takes the blame if that was? Remember when I asked y'all on my live? Hold on, say that again.
My mom and Elijah put their hands on me, and Creed said he was going to press the button for the elevator, and he went in. He didn't press it, so I pressed it, and my mom grabbed me in the arm, and I was mad that when that happened, and then Elijah grabbed my neck to sit down.
What? Okay. Chris is tripping. Chris is bitter. Oh, Chris is upset. Y'all literally hearing his child come and talk to him. But Chris is bothered? Chris's child is coming to him, telling him what's going on. And Chris is the problem?
Oh my goodness. You see what I mean, you guys? Like, it was very intense. Okay, so why don't we start with the most recent thing, right? So the last video, he shared audio of a voice that he says belongs to his son, Lux. And in it, Lux is allegedly accusing his mother, Kail, of hitting him and then slapping him or something. And then Elijah, his mother's boyfriend, of grabbing him by the neck because he cursed at his brother. That jumped out to me because there's something that Kail did that was really controversial a couple of years ago. And she even recently talked about it on Lila Kent's podcast, which is that she gave her children free reign to swear. She said, you know, I feel like children should be allowed to swear and curse or whatever, right? If you make it like a very neutral thing for them, it doesn't matter, right? Just don't react, and then they'll grow out of it and not really be cursing adults like that. And so the idea that she gave this to the kids, and we've seen her post TikToks about her encouraging the children to swear and whatnot, only to allegedly turn around and allegedly get physical with her kid for doing exactly that or having a habit of swearing. I find that to be absolutely insane, right? So not only herself, but then also allegedly allowing her latest boyfriend to do that. I don't know. Listen, it's all just so overwhelming, right? That I don't even really know what to say about it. Like, it's really, really scary stuff. It is. Like, it's dark. And so a lot of you guys were leaving some really good comments and some questions and stuff like that about like, okay, well, if this is the case, all of this is happening, he's got all of this documentation, why doesn't he have 50-50 custody? And that is the question that I'm asking as well, right? So he says he can't get a lawyer because he cannot afford a lawyer. Somebody tried to throw a GoFundMe for him to get a lawyer, but people weren't donating to it like that, right? But I feel like if Delaware is automatically a 50-50 state, do you even really need a lawyer to like fight for that? Like, shouldn't that already be like the already kind of given thing? It's very strange to me that from the beginning, he didn't have that. In fact, not only did he not have 50-50 custody, he also had supervised visitation. So to me, that says that there's something off about him already, you know, and although I feel bad for him and all that he's going through, this is why you cannot just be knocking up random people. Like, he should not have done what he did to Kail. He had a whole harem of women. He was playing them all, and it blew up in his freaking face. Now he's going to suffer for the rest of his life with this woman that he never wanted in the first place. Please, please, guys, you need better dick management. I'm sorry to say the word, but you do, right? And the ladies, better coochie management. You cannot just be popping out kids with any old random person. Like, what is this? You know what I mean? It's absolutely insane. It truly is. By the way, hi, Zindile. Zindile is one of my OGs from South Africa. I haven't seen you in so long, boo. Nice to see you. So another thing that Chris talked about in the live was a note. He claimed that Kail Lowry's fourth baby daddy, Elijah Scott, had left a final note if he were to take his life. He allegedly had the intention of doing that. And so some of you are asking, how did Chris get a copy? Listen, there is a mole in Kail's friendship circle. That is how some of these Instagrammers and whatnot are able to have such good information about her, right? Like, remember, all of the pregnancies and stuff were leaked. It was accurate that she was having twins, everything, because of somebody in her inner circle. As of yet, it's still unknown who that person is. However, that person exists. That person passed it on to Chris. So I think it's probably the same person, most likely, who is also in contact with some of the bloggers. I don't want to like out which bloggers they are, but just saying, right? Wow. And in the video, Chris also says that Kail was like kind of like passing it around to everybody, reading it to everybody as if it was no big deal. And he says, listen, do you think it's a little strange that pretty much everybody who deals with this woman, who has a child with this woman, starts, you know, suffering from mental health issues? I don't know, y'all. But listen, in my opinion, you probably already have mental health issues if at the tender age of 26 years old, fresh off a divorce, you decide to get involved with a 30-something-year-old woman with 4 kids by 3 different men already. Like, to me, you're already of not so sound mind, right? Just saying. Kaylin says, oh, this note is old, before the kids. Yes. So Chris says in his live that Elijah had written this to his unborn child, and he had known that the child was a son. So I'm assuming that this would have been for Rio, which is interesting, right? Because it's like, okay, well, he wasn't in that deep pause with Kail at that point, right? Like, their first child together wasn't born, and they got pregnant the first time he hit it, meaning that they would have only been in a month-long, 2, 3, 4, 5-month-long relationship at this point. So why is he already at this place, right? So perhaps it was that, or perhaps it was the other pregnancy, right? Because to them, when they found out she was pregnant, they probably assumed it was another singleton. They probably didn't know that it was twins. So maybe that's the other theory that I'm putting out there, is that potentially he thought that, but then if that's the case, then why wouldn't he say to my sons, right? Because the other son already existed. But here's the other thing, you guys. Here's the last thing. Remember when Elijah cheated with that girl on the cruise? He told that girl he only has 2 children. And there have been rumors that Kail was pregnant by her ex-boyfriend that she was allegedly cheating on with Elijah, and that they questioned the paternity of that child. So I don't know. It's all very, very confusing. I want to get into you guys' comments to see what you have to say about it. Acacia says, what if the mole is Kristen? Listen, I wouldn't put anything past a single person. It could be Kristen. It could be Sterling. It could be Alessandra. It could be anybody. Truly, right? Like, I have no freaking idea. It is absolutely insane, right? It's crazy. I don't like, her world is just so baffling to me in the worst way possible. And I completely agree with you, K Car, especially physical. I don't think, you know, like, I get that there's frustration and whatnot, but oh my God, like, slapping your kid and stuff, like, that sounds insane to me. That sounds like literally abusive, right? I'm not saying she did it 100%. I'm just saying that's what Chris says Luck said she did, right? And that is just a really horrific thing to do to a child, especially a child that you encourage to swear in the first place. Alexa says, Kail's life is too much. I don't know how she can live with this drama. I don't get it either. You listen, Alexa and everybody watching, I binge watched season 3 of Squid Game, right? That show has still left me so rattled. And it was a show, it was fiction, right? Like, can you imagine me trying to live Kail's life? Oh my God, I'm too weak for that. That also, personally, I feel Kail has always been a bit more, I want my way and I will do what I have to get it. Hurt people, who cares? Kail wants to be happy. That's all that matters. And I do believe that is the way that she is, right? And again, just don't have kids with everybody, girl. Like, why? Why do you need to have kids with everybody? Like, you've just made such a big mess for yourself. Like, it really is such a big mess. I cannot emphasize it enough. And Gwen, congratulations. That is like a huge compliment. Shout out to you and your baby. That is absolutely incredible. Congrats. I love that. Gwen also says, I wonder if Kail would be a better person if Teen Mom only lasted like 3 to 4 seasons. I missed the person she was. And that's the crazy thing, right? I always tell you guys, and people are shocked. Like, I used to love Kail at the beginning when she was like the dental hygienist or the dental assistant or whatever. Like, she seemed to be so determined in everything. Like, I really do think that she could have been a better person than what she is now. She still would have been a very angry person, in my opinion, though, because like she's always had that chip on her shoulder. But I don't think that she would have subjected 7 children to living in this kind of chaotic environment that she has today. Tadisha says, it will always baffle me that Elijah was kid-free with a pretty good life before Kail. Then he knocked her out back to back within 1.5 years. Exactly. Elijah, I'm sorry, but like that is quite literally insane. Insane. Like, why would you do that? Why? On what planet? Like, that is crazy. And it's just so funny almost to even think back to like the BS that she was peddling right back in the day when she got knocked up with luck. She was like, oh, like my doctor told me, Kail, you have to get pregnant ASAP because, you know, you're running out of time to get pregnant. You're going to be infertile by this time next year. Go to a strip mall parking lot and get knocked up, girl. And now look at her. How many kids has she had since Lux? Like another 4, right? And then she's still talking about having more. Like that whole thing was a lie. It was a lie, you guys, from the very beginning. And she still has not recanted that statement, right? Like it's absolute BS. Becky says maybe Elliot has been sharing. Oh, Elliot says, Becky says, what if Elliot's the mole? Thank you for that laugh. Listen, we don't know. Listen, anybody could be the freaking mole. Because one thing that we're learning about Kail is that all that glitters isn't gold. What she represents about herself is not the reality. And listen, if not 1, but 2, or however many of your baby daddies are saying that, listen, there might be some truth to it, right? And I agree, Tyrell. Like, and it's just so sad. It's so sad. I wanted better for her. I really did. Hey, little Miss Fluffy, you were there yesterday too. Nice to see you. If he feels his child is being abused, he should be trying to get an investigation open, not trying to put Kail in her place by going live. Doesn't seem like he cares about the issue at hand. And you know what? That's a great point. Listen, maybe he can't afford an attorney for the family court, but maybe he can go to CPS, right? Like, why isn't he going to CPS? That's a great question. Listen. The viewers of this show have been calling CPS on these ladies forever, especially Farrah, especially Janelle. Why isn't Chris, if he really feels like his son is in physical danger, why isn't he calling CPS? Like something, right? To get documentation done on this situation. Like he says, I binge watched Squid Games yesterday. That's a normal Korean show. Just rips your heart out. Yeah, like, oh my God, it was so hard. I'm still recovering. I wanted to watch that new documentary on Netflix about Bin Laden, but I'm still shaking up. I need some time. I'm gonna watch that new Lena Dunham show though. Minnie says, I think the mole could be Lindsay. Oh, didn't she have a hand in putting her own parents away? I like this one too. You guys are so good with your conspiracy theories. Okay, it could be Lindsay. It could be Elliot. It could be Kristen. Okay, listen, of these 3, I think so far, Minnie, I like this Lindsay theory because listen, I kind of feel like Lindsay looks down on Kail and her lifestyle and whatnot. By the way, apparently Lindsay secretly got married to her boyfriend or something like that, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, I kind of think it's Lindsay, y'all. You know what? That's who I would like for it to turn out to be, let's say, right? I don't know who it is. Any of you could be right. But I would like for it to turn out to be Lindsay. That would be hilarious. Jasmine says, Chris needs to get off social media, get a job or a second one if he already has one, and get a lawyer if he's serious. I'm sure they would let him make monthly payments on any balance. And that's the thing. There are regular fathers out there. You don't have to be a rich person to fight for custody of your child. There are regular men with regular jobs and careers paying for attorneys. So what's going on with Chris's situation that he can't even do that? Like, truly, this is a college educated man. He has a degree in kinesiology. He should be able to swing it, right? And you don't have to pay it all at once, right? You pay monthly or something, like retainer, everything. Like, come on now. I agree, Jazz. What's going on? Tyrell says, Kail did Joe dirty by going behind his back with Jordan. If you're worried about losing your home, how is D worth it? And it didn't even last. Oh my. Ooh, drag her, Tyrell. Get her again. And it's true. She was a mess. Gwen says, thank you, Grace. He's 9, descended from both a suffragette and Abigail Adams. Oh, loves to learn and suddenly loves to read. So I've got my fingers crossed that he's a good one. That is so sweet. He sounds absolutely amazing. Congratulations again. That is so sweet. And listen, it's the reading that's got him so good at speaking, right? KCAR says, I don't feel sorry for Chris at all. I think he does all of this for drama. Joe was a teenager when he knocked her up and Javi was her husband. Chris and Elijah were randos, so they get no sympathy. And listen, I can agree with that as well. And Joe moved states to be with his kid and everything, right? Like, and he even tried to move close to Kail, and she moved further away because she didn't want to be close to her child's father. Like, he really has gone through it. And Chris saw all of this and still decided to go ahead and knock her up. And mind you, he didn't even like her. If you at least like this girl and you were a fool for love, okay, right? You didn't love her, let alone like her. So that's why I too have a hard time feeling bad for him. You know, who told you to go and have a harem and play these kinds of games? And he said that he was doing it essentially because she was his sugar mama. She was buying him MacBooks. She was taking him on trips, him and his friend, right? And he was buying him and his friend designer dogs and whatnot. That's what he was saying in the live. So play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And I agree, Nikki, you know, and that's all he seems to do, right? He is constantly on live. Take it off the playground. Go consult with, maybe even get a paralegal. If you don't have lawyer money, can you not use a paralegal in family court? Shelby says, I don't think she's close enough to Lindsay for her to have real dirt. Are you sure? Because they say they talk all the time. Please don't ruin this for me. Imagine Lindsay went from turning in her parents to now turning in Kail, like on Kail. That would be just so iconic. I'm sorry. A says he may care about the abuse and still be childish AF. Imagine that. Well, that's the thing though, right? Why is he not reporting it to CPS? That's free. Dropping the dime to CPS is free. Why isn't he doing that? And if he did that, CPS, you know, if they launched an investigation, determined that that's what was happening, Lux told him the same thing that he told Chris, he can get the custody at that point, no? It makes you wonder a little bit, you know, like somebody brought this up in the live chat and it's making me wonder. I feel like Joe had it bad and he was a teen dealing with this too, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, Ramster, it was so, actually, you know what I did? I was recovering on the 14th from Le Bel des Pompiers, the firefighter party night. So I didn't get to see the fireworks or anything for Fête de Bastille, the 14th of July, unfortunately, but they looked really good online. Good morning, Summer Breeze. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Lauren says, no judge is going to give Chris more custody if he keeps bringing his kids into adult issues and talking bad about Kail to the kids. I can agree with that. And, you know, maybe the social media thing too, like this thing about like Elijah's alleged note and everything, and then playing these audio tapes of his son. This might be something that's seen kind of poorly in court as well, right? I don't think that he's playing this as well as he can. Minnie says, Grace, don't you say he didn't like her. He just said, oh yeah, that's true. He did say that he had feelings or whatever, but he treated her so terribly, right? And, you know, what's the point? I don't understand people like this where they treat you so poorly, like they freaking hate your guts or something, right? Like, what is the point? Go find somebody you like. Why did you do this? Anyway, listen. Very, very ugly relationship from beginning, middle to end, y'all.